Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Well, we're just 13 days away from the biggest event in the Low Country, and that's the RBC Heritage presented by Boeing. Now, listen to this for just a second. So, it's going to be broadcast in more than 200 countries and amount to more than 200 hours of live coverage. So, if you do the math on that, that would be 208 days of consecutive coverage for 24 hours a day of the RBC Heritage, which is just phenomenal. Today also, we'll be hearing from the RBC Heritage President, or let me correct that, the Heritage Classic Foundation President and the Tournament Director of the RBC Heritage, Steve Wilmot, a little bit later on in today's program. And we have another great guest, a great group of guests today lined up for you. You've asked for some different topics, and so we're providing the answers to the topics that you've sent in and submitted, and we thank you for that. You know, for most of us, a home is the largest purchase that we're ever going to make. And the recent national settlement surrounding the real estate commissions has been in the headlines. And here to tell us about the impact on our local market is John Carroll, and John's a partner at Burr Forman, and also John was a previous staff attorney with the South Carolina Association of REALTORS. John and his wife Celia, they're the proud parents of, I'll say, a baby boy, a son named Lyons, and Lyons just happens to be celebrating his first birthday this month. So John, I know it's an exciting time for you. We're glad you could be with us today and looking forward to hearing your update.
Thanks so much, Bill, and thanks for mentioning my son's birthday coming up. There's no better place than the South Carolina Low Country to raise a little one-year-old. So, and Bill, I'm not surprised that this topic has received so many questions from both the public and from our Realtor members and our brokerages. You know, unfortunately, the National Association of Realtors was named as a defendant in a large antitrust case related to home sales, where the class of plaintiffs was really everyone in the state of Missouri that's ever sold a home. So, so they're staring down the barrel of very big potential damages. And unfortunately, the National Association of Realtors lost at the trial level, and the plaintiffs were awarded $5 billion with a B in damages, which no one saw coming. It's sort of like the dog that caught the car, Bill. It's you know, no one saw that the plaintiffs in this class action lawsuit were going to win. And on appeal, the National Association of Realtors decided to settle the case and ultimately agreed to pay over $400 million over the course of 4 years. But how did we get to this point? I'm really happy to have the opportunity to clear up some of the misinformation out there. It's very unfortunate that one of the plaintiffs in the class leaked the story to the New York Times, which really spread around a lot of misinformation throughout our realtor community. But ultimately, the crux of the antitrust argument that the plaintiffs are making is this. You know, the multiple listing service, which in many markets, not Hilton Head, but in many markets is owned by a local realtor association, represents this smoke-filled back room where all these realtors are artificially inflating the prices of homes, which of course is just not true. The textbook antitrust case is going to look something like this. Let's say the CEO of Ford and Dodge and Chevy get together in one of these smoky back rooms and decide, okay, we're going to all raise our half-ton pickup trucks by $1,000 and no one will notice, and we all come away richer. Well, that's the picture that the plaintiffs are trying to paint with the multiple listing service, which is pretty unfortunate. But thankfully, you know, the plaintiffs realized how weak of a case they had and were willing to settle for cents on the dollar on appeal. And ultimately, the National Association of Realtors agreed to change some rules and practices that they've engaged in the past, whereby, you know, typically a listing agent would share a portion of her commission with a buyer agent. And the way that offer of buyer agent compensation is communicated to the buyer agent is by way of the multiple listing service. There's a field that the agents can type in what the buyer agent's commission might be in the multiple listing service. And it's been NAR's position all along that that field's negotiable, and there is no standard commission. It can vary on a case-by-case basis. But the plaintiff's argument was that the very existence of that field creates, the listing agent might feel like she or he may need to enter something in that field, and therefore that they argue artificially increase the prices of real estate. So NAR agreed to remove that field. So that's the bad news, is that it's going to be less convenient for our realtor members here at the chamber to communicate offers of compensation in that way. But the good news is this: it's going to end up being a very minor change at the end of the day. Brokerage companies can still enter the offers of buyer agent compensations on other platforms that are available to the public, like websites. So a brokerage company could put their buyer agent compensation on their own website. They can put it in email. They can put it in print ads. They can really do business the same way they've always done, except negotiate that commission on the MLS that the general public may not have access to. So that's the only thing that's changing. There's a few other things that are changing for the rest of the U.S. Really, South Carolina is among a minority of states that has always required buyer agents to enter into a buyer agency agreement with their buyer clients for the purpose of increasing transparency with how that buyer agent is earning their commission. So we're already in the practice of doing that. That's one thing that now NAR is mandating all states to adopt, but we've been doing that for a long time. So really the only thing that's changing is how that offer of buyer agent compensation can be communicated from the listing agent to the buyer agent on the MLS. Now Hilton Head is a little different. They're not, the Hilton Head multiple listing service is not a party to this class action lawsuit, because they're actually not owned by the local Association of Realtors. So it will be a business decision, as to whether or not the Hilton Head multiple listing service decides to enter into this agreement. There is an option for non-association owned MLSs to opt in, or they might choose to keep how these offers of compensation have been communicated on the MLS like they always have been. And that will be it'll be a decision that ultimately relies on what the risk tolerance is for the local multiple listing service, and what they want to do for the agents that do business on our own local multiple listing service. So that's still a question mark, that we do not have any formal information yet about how the local Hilton Head multiple listing service board of directors is going to land on that decision. But one thing I know for sure is that every one of our members here at the chamber and our market, and all of our members here at the Hilton Head Association of Realtors, know our market better than anyone else, and we can have confidence in whatever decision that the local MLS board makes, and that they're trying to protect both transparency and protect our agents from any malicious, erroneous antitrust claims like what we've seen recently in the news.
John, thank you. Question for you that came in, and this question's coming from Frankie. And Frankie's asking both on a national as well as a local level about if you foresee home buyers shopping for realtors based on commissions.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see that. But to make my response even more simple, I think we've always had that. So a potential client who is shopping around to find the best fit for them when hiring a realtor, just like when hiring a lawyer or hiring a mechanic to work on your car or any other service, you will always have the opportunity to negotiate that commission. And there's no rules requiring an agent to accept the commission that you want, right? So it goes both ways. that the agent can negotiate with the client as to what they believe their value is. But to your point, Bill, I think this does represent an opportunity for all realtors, both in our market and throughout the country, to reevaluate how they're communicating their value to clients. Because for realtors that are unable to communicate that value, I think you're right. There's, those realtors may have a harder time negotiating with clients who are shopping around. But today, I mean, for the realtors, especially the sophisticated ones in our market, and we have some of the top realtors in the state here in Hilton Head Island, Bluffton area. I don't see this impacting us as much as the rest of the country, because we've always been in the business of communicating our value to our clients, and have always had those elevator pitches. I mean, a lot of tourism that comes in from all over the country, we have to be able to convince clients immediately how the value add that we're bringing, and how we can pair them up with the best match, with the best dream home that they could possibly ask for. So I think this will ultimately end up being a good thing for the market.
John, I couldn't agree with you more about having some of the best realtors in the state and also nationally right here locally. So we're very, very fortunate for that. Another question coming to you is from Randy, and Randy is asking, why does South Carolina not use title companies like other states do?
Yep. So the easy answer is I'll throw my own kind under the bus here. So I'm an attorney. I'm a closing attorney, and the South Carolina legislature decided that the closing of real estate is considered the practice of law. And the reason for that is we're trying to protect the public from title issues. So if, in theory, you have title insurance that can protect you from title problems after you close on a home, but I don't know if anyone on this call has ever actually reviewed a title insurance policy. There's a bunch of exceptions and omissions and things like that, which is totally on the up and up. That's exactly what any insurance policy is going to look like. It's going to list all the exceptions of what they're not covering. But if it's a miss from the person, the escrow agent, or in our state, it'd be the closing attorney that misses a glaring title problem, then really the public has a second source of remedy there. They could sue the closing attorney for malpractice. So that's an extra layer of protection that you're going to see in South Carolina that you won't see in other markets. So whether that's the lawyer-controlled legislature protecting themselves or protecting the public, maybe a little bit of both. That's a debate for another day. But obviously, in the event you wanted to close on real estate, the law of the land here today is that you need to hire a closing attorney, and that closing attorney is going to work with a title insurance company to offer title insurance for you if that's something that you would want to purchase.
All right, John, thank you. The next question is coming in from Sarah, and Sarah is asking if she can forego a realtor and go directly to a closing attorney.
Yep. So the short answer is yes, you can do that, and it's becoming easier and easier to do that with apps like Zillow and so forth. But I hate for the news story that ran in the New York Times recently that the AP has picked up and copied all over the country to impact this answer at all. The longer answer is that any customer, any client has always had the opportunity to do that. So nothing really has changed there. And of course, the listing agent would greatly prefer that, because they would, in that case, they wouldn't have to share the commission with the buyer agent potentially. But obviously there is a value. Many realtors may communicate to a client that there is a lot of value in hiring a buyer agent. For example, when my wife and I purchased our new home to make room for our little young one, I knew that I wouldn't have as much time as I thought I would to really investigate and really negotiate the best possible purchase price I could possibly do for my family. I knew I'd need a little help with that, so I was happy to hire a local buyer agent to help me with that and help narrow down my options based on what our criteria was for buying a home. So if you think you can do that homework by yourself and not make one of the biggest financial decisions of your life without representation, then by all means you have the option to do that. But this story has not changed a customer's ability to do that. That's been the way. That's been an option available to you all along.
All right, next question is coming from Dana, and Dana is asking, how have local realtors reacted to the ruling?
Yep, so I'd say the local realtors are not that dissimilar from realtors that I work throughout the country. So I'm the board attorney for the local Hilton Head Association of Realtors, as well as I do legal work with the Realtor Association of Myrtle Beach, Charleston, one in Alabama, one in Florida, and one in Texas. So I do get a lot of feedback from realtors about the settlement. And it's really not much different than what I'm seeing throughout the country as far as reaction. I think there was a little bit of disappointment that NAR felt that they had to settle at all, had to settle in the first place. And, I think what the Association of Realtors' goal was from the top was to protect their individual agents from any sort of antitrust claim, because the fear was, okay, if the plaintiffs win this, then this could turn into the new asbestos case where you're going to see one call, that's all lawyers on the television saying, have you been harmed by a listing agent? Call me. And then that leaves millions of realtors exposed to antitrust violations throughout the country. I think one thing that's important to note here is that the settlement agreement itself specifically and explicitly states that the National Association of Realtors is not admitting to any antitrust, is not admitting to any wrongdoing, and the plaintiffs themselves agreed with that. But nonetheless, they agreed to pay this money to make this problem go away for agents throughout the country. It's important to note that the settlement agreement doesn't cover everyone. It doesn't necessarily cover MLS entities, business entities that are not owned by the association, but it does provide a pathway for those types of MLSs like here locally to opt in. And also one brokerage company was explicitly omitted from the settlement agreement, and that's any brokerage company owned by Home Services, which is also owned by Berkshire Hathaway, which we do have a brokerage company owned by Berkshire Hathaway here on the island, so I want to mention that. So Berkshire Hathaway decided to continue litigating this. My assumption, this is just my speculation, I don't have any special inside knowledge, but I can see stock tickers and I can see news in Forbes magazine. And I know Berkshire Hathaway Energy, which is the division of Berkshire Hathaway that owns Home Services, as well as power companies, utility companies, you name it, has 167 billion cash on hand or equivalent assets. So that might be one reason why the plaintiffs thought they could squeeze more out of that entity in particular, which is unfortunate. Make no mistake here, just like in most cases, it's the greedy plaintiffs' lawyers that are trying to squeeze as much money out of this lawsuit as possible. And I hate that it's damaging some of the reputation of one of the oldest trade associations in the nation since 1908, and National Association of Realtors has provided the code of ethics that it requires its members to follow, and services to home buyers and home sellers throughout the country for that long of a time. So I hate that it's tarnished a little bit of that reputation just for the purpose of a money grab, but that's what we're dealing with. And I look forward, our realtors have rode many waves recently. COVID-19 lockdowns, they rode the TRID regulation wave, and this is just another headwind that's going to allow our members to prove their value. And once they get through this storm, there's going to be a bright side of the market, as there always is, and we look forward to that.
John, thank you for your candidness, and we appreciate you being with us this morning, sharing your knowledge. And if we have other questions, we'll follow up with you. But thank you so much, and an early happy birthday to Lions.
Oh, thank you so much, Bill. I'll be sure to mention that you sent them that wish. So thank you. Cheers.
All right. Thank you. All right, so we go from real estate now to talking a little bit about the quality of life. And with quality of life, we're looking at technology and how technology and traffic have come together. And with the town of Hilton Head Island's new smart cameras for traffic control. The good news is the system is up and running, and here to tell us about it and how it's working is the Hilton Head Island transportation engineer, Jim Iwanicki. Jim?
Second. Good morning, everybody. Here to talk about our adaptive traffic signal project and let you know what's going on. We've got it up and running in December of this year, and I'd like to go through the PowerPoint and share with you what we have going on here. So the project goals were to improve safety for all users, improve mainline throughput, and reduce mainline travel times. We understand that this project is creating a little bit more side street delay, but the goal was to make the mainline move as best we could. Addressing seasonal changes in traffic, modernizing the signal computer system, improving traffic management capabilities, reducing greenhouse gas emissions by having fewer people stop at the red lights, positively influence the island tourism and hospitality industry by moving traffic as best we could, and preparing for the US 278 bridge replacement project. And then finally creating a foundation for future ITS enhancements and on that side. Some of the challenges were to deal with our 25 conventional traffic signals, the capacity challenge gateway corridor, especially the first 3 or 4 signals coming onto the island, mitigate traffic delays, improve safety, improve system performance, reduce traffic congestions, improve sustainability, and to change motorist perceptions. What we had in the past is our old system. It was basically a 1980s type computer system. It was Windows based, but again, it was very archaic, and each signal operated kind of independently. And what the adaptive traffic signal is doing is updating the system so that all the signals are talking together, and that data that's collected at each intersection is uploaded to the cloud and then sent here to be analyzed through the new computer software. And then we are sending information back out to those computers to adjust timings. So here's kind of how it works a little bit. Again, we're changing and modifying signal timings in real time to the actual traffic conditions. Now, we're not changing this minute by minute. Changes are happening at 10-minute intervals so that there is some consistency out there. By doing this, we're reducing delay time for many motorists. We're trying to improve safety for the non-motorized users, and we're allowing staff to maintain and monitor the components remotely. So down here in the left-hand corner photo is kind of showing our management in the office, and we're taking a look at the overall island picture there on the left-hand side of the slide, and there's a specific intersection that we can take a look at. And on the right-hand side of the screen is where the voodoo happens. This is the computer that's controlling the traffic signal at this intersection. So the total cost was $3.1 million. It was funded by an IGA with Beaufort County, and that funding came from a collection of impact fees that happened here on Hilton Head Island for traffic impact. We had a lot of partners with this project. Let's start in the left-hand corner there. Beaufort County, they helped us with the RFP. They helped us analyzing, selecting a team to install this. And again, the funding component and currently working with them to encourage them to see if we can expand the system onto the mainland. SCDOT, they helped with procurement. We had to make sure that the equipment that we're using is equipment that they will be able to approve. Again, all 25 signals here on the island are owned by SCDOT, and we have a maintenance agreement with SCDOT. So it's that maintenance agreement that allows us to spend money and make improvements to the system for SCDOT and for ourselves. We had regional governments. We had 3 outside local agencies that helped us in developing the RFP and asking them about their adaptive traffic signals. At the bottom left corner, MKSK is a consultant that again helped us create the RFP and analyze which team would be the best. The bottom 3 here on the right, Q-Free is the vendor that is kind of the adaptive expert, and they are the ones that provided the software and the ability to work the adaptive system. Control Technologies here is the group that did the individual hardware for the detection and the new computers, the signal in the signal cabinets. And German Technology was the vendor that helped us install. So what were the preconditions? Well, we had in-pavement loop detectors, and as shown here in the bottom right. And what they would basically do is say, hey, there's a car here, or there's a car here waiting. And they would send that into the localized computer at the intersection. But the localized computer at the intersection really couldn't do much with that information other than say, hey, there's a vehicle here, and we're going to turn on or turn off the green light. And we were stuck by having pre-programmed timings when the light was going to turn red, when it was going to turn green, and we had those listed for different hours. And so here in this time of day plan 4, between 6 a.m. and 9:29 a.m., we had 150-second cycle length. So no matter what the vehicle traffic was, it was always going to be 150 seconds between when it turned red, went yellow or green, yellow, and came back to red. That was always going to be a 150-second cycle, and there was no way to shorten it or lengthen it. So what the adaptive traffic signal allowed us to do is to make that change in real time. And now we can vary that that timing. If 120 seconds is appropriate or 190 seconds is appropriate, the computers are allowing us to do that. So this is the new equipment that was put in place. One of the things that we couldn't get in place was a fiber optic network connecting all 25 signals. So what we did is we provided a point-to-point radio network that's connecting all 25 signals. We improved our detection for pedestrians in allowing some things other than the push button. There's some wave detectors out there when you're crossing, and there's also some audio at certain intersections to help safety with crossing. We also added thermal imaging cameras for pedestrian protection. And then we also added some thermal, or I should say some radar detection and some cameras to the detection system. In the cabinet, this slide right here is showing the interface between the local computer and our cloud-based network. So that's what all of that equipment does. This power strip right here is a very unique power strip. It is a computer system, and most computer systems require restarts. And we can remotely restart each one of these plugged in locations along this power strip so that we don't physically have to go out and restart a specific component of that computer system, allowing us to be able to do things a lot more remotely. Here's the updated computer that went in, and then this is the camera and thermal imaging card that allows us to see things in real time. So again, the continuous real-time signal information is here. This is what our traffic manager is seeing on her computer, big screen, a bunch of different areas. It allows her to look at that stuff in real time, and we are able to be able to interact with that. And if we see an incident, we're able to get notification out to people and to see what's happening. We do not have a recording of this information. This is a live feed that is not recorded. Vehicle detection out there. We have 2,251 detection areas from the 96 radar units that we put up. And so this is a lot more detection and is giving us a lot more information as a vehicle comes into the signal. And whereas in the past we would have maybe 15 or 18 loop detectors around the entire intersection, now we have 200, 250 detectors that the radar are picking up and feeding information to our system, which allows us that data so that it can help us change the timing. Here's the thermal imaging for the pedestrians. You can see our two little ghost figures there waiting to cross. And so those were picked up, and that information was sent to the controller to say, hey, we got people waiting to cross here. Even if they didn't press the PED button, they will get that information to the controller. So it is a kind of a redundant system between the push button and the thermal imaging. But because of pedestrian safety, we thought that was the best way to go. Here is kind of the brains behind the outfit. This is the Q3. This is the true adaptive traffic signal information. This is showing all 25 signals on the island. In the green ones, it's saying, hey, it's running the adaptive pattern. And those patterns are being consistent. These brown or red locations, those are signals where it's telling us, hey, the computer sent some things and it's making some changes to what it's doing. It's still in the adaptive mode, but that's in a transition period. And we could zoom in on those and click those and find out what's going on. If you click on one of those, this is what comes up, and it kind of tells us what's going on. It tells us what's going on with the timing at the plan, and it's showing those areas where there is a red signal, where there's a flashing yellow signal, and those areas where there's a green signal. Again, this is the remote access. This is the actual, this is at Squire Pope, and this is actually what's going on in the localized computer there at Squire Pope. It's showing us where we have red indications, showing us where we have green, showing us where we have cars waiting at a certain leg of the intersection. And over here, it's showing us what's going on. There's 2 seconds left between on green. And then, so it tells us what's locally going on at each intersection. So what's next? We're still learning. Again, this has been up and running since December. We're still refining the system. The system is still learning what to do. Again, collaboration with Beaufort County. Part of the reason Beaufort County was working with us is that they had interest in extending this type of a system out into the mainland and on 278 all the way to 95. So again, we're working with them to see if we can't make that happen. Collaboration with SCDOT. There's only 3 locations within 150 miles of us that are in the state that are currently using an adaptive system. So the state is very interested in what's going on here. We are a relatively small system with 25 signals, so that we're kind of a good test bed. And they are currently going to be doing a before and after study to help determine some of the impacts of what this adaptive system is doing, and the benefits and or drawbacks of how we're seeing it work. Fiber optic communication is a big one. Again, the better the communication is, the better our system will act. And so we know that fiber optics is ultimately where we need to go. But because of cost and time issues, we weren't able to put that in for this portion of the system. So again, that's something that we'll work on in the future. And then finally is the additional ITS functions, having that ability to interact with smart vehicles, that ability to maybe get connected vehicles in the future, feeding us information and feeding them information. So again, this lays good groundwork for that. So with that, Bill, that's my quick down and dirty adaptive traffic signal presentation.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you. Very, very interesting, and not surprising that we have several questions for you. So we'll move quickly into those. The first one is coming from Cody, and Cody is asking, how does the new Windmill Harbor traffic light impact this new system?
Cody has got a good question there. The Windmill Harbor traffic light is not part of our system. It is county maintained, and they worked with SCDOT to put that in. We are having discussions with the county about the possibility of tying that in. There are some concerns on our side and some concerns on their side. I think that will definitely happen as the bridge project is updated and completed, but I don't know if we're going to have that in our system in the very near future.
All right, sir. Moving on to Jonathan's question. And Jonathan is asking, is there any data that is collected? And if so, how is it used? And he's also asking, is there any third-party sharing of data?
Right now, we do not have third-party sharing of data. We do collect data of speeds coming into the intersections. Again, with those over 2,500 radar detection things, they are feeding a lot of information to us. So we have hourly, minutely traffic volumes, the types of vehicles that are coming in. Again, just tons of information that we didn't have before. In the past, we would, count traffic in June and then make decisions whether our pre-timing was right. This is counting traffic all the time, and that all the information that is being picked up, whether it's, the number of PEDs crossing a certain location, the times they're crossing, all that information is available to us. And again, we have just touched the tip of the iceberg here, and we're just now starting to understand what all that information is, and we're coming up with new ways of being able to use it.
All right, Jim, thank you. And the next question is coming in from Lewis. And Lewis is saying that last month I was leaving Hilton Head Island at 4:30 a.m. to drive to the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport. There was literally no other cars on the road within my view yet, and I had to stop at 3 different traffic lights. So the question now is, why wouldn't the automated system have all the east-westbound lights on green until another vehicle came on the side street?
We occasionally have some issues at certain times. Again, if detection is dropped because of communication, and that's why the fiber optics is what we're pushing for. If there is any loss in communication, it goes back to a pre-time mode. And so those are some things that we're working on perfecting and making sure that communication is the best, so it does not hold up people at those times where there is not traffic on the side streets. So again, that is not how we want it to function, and we're working to make it function correctly at all times.
All right, Jim, we have a couple more questions from you. For you. The next question is coming from Julie, And Julie is asking, do signals adjust for weekends and weekdays, and how does it differ on Saturday?
Well, again, that's what that's the beauty of the system, is we give it parameters to say, hey, don't go lower than so many seconds per cycle and don't go higher than so many seconds per cycle. And I believe that lower threshold is 60 seconds and the higher threshold is 190 seconds. But that the system is running what we call adaptive, and it is actually seeing what's going on. So if we're having Saturday traffic come in because of the tourist, it is adjusting for that, and it's giving the maximum time it can give to that traffic coming on the island. And it's also coordinating the traffic, the signals downstream, so that as much of that traffic can get through as many signals as possible. When we have an afternoon commute, it's going kind of the other way. It's trying to give as much green time off island for the people that are trying to get off the island, and trying to coordinate as many of those traffic signals together. And again, it's never perfect, because we have to give time for the side streets. And then when a pedestrian needs to cross the main line, again, that holds up that coordination between signals. But again, that's the intent of this. And rather than us just guessing that based on a pre-timed plan, that's what we were doing before, it's actually taking a look at what the actual traffic is and making those adjustments in 10-minute increments out there. And it might go from, hey, we're 120-second cycle, and it is saying, hey, we're seeing a lot of traffic here, so we're going to go up to 140 seconds. And then 10 minutes later, it's saying, hey, traffic is still building, we're going to go up to 180 seconds. So again, it's that real-time data that all those detectors are collecting, feeding them into the computers, and then making changes to what you're actually seeing out in the field.
All right, two more questions quickly, and they're short questions, Jim. So they continue to come in. We appreciate everyone sending your questions in, but we've got to call it after this. And the next question is coming from Rick, and Rick is asking how long the new system has been in place.
The new system, the adaptive part of it, was kicked on about the second week of December. So we got about 3.5 months into it. And again, we've got most of the kinks worked out, but we're still working on refining things and making things as best we can.
All right. And Tom is asking if there are any plans to have recording capabilities in the future.
At this point in time, we do not want to do recordings. That opens us up to a lot of different things. Every single accident or fender bender out there, we would be FOIA'd on it, and we would have to go through tons and tons of data to find that specific time. So that's one of the reasons why we're not going to be recording.
Jim, thank you very much. It's good to see you. Appreciate what you're doing. We look forward to another update a little bit later on down the road.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Well, our next guest really needs no introduction, but I think this video really says it all. So sit back and watch for just a minute.
Town is the family paradise.
Well, if that doesn't get you excited, I'm really not sure that anything will. And so if my numbers are right, Steve, I think we're 15 days out before the first tee shot and 13 days out from the opening ceremony. Before we get to that, though, I want to congratulate you first on being the PGA Tour's longest serving tournament director, and for the great job that you do as the president of the Heritage Classic Foundation, as well as the tournament director for the RBC Heritage. We know you're busy. We know a lot going on. Thanks for being with us. We look forward to hearing from you.
Well, Bill, thank you. It's a treat as always to be here. And, I wouldn't have been here this long if it wasn't for the support of yourself, the chamber, and all this, everybody on this call today. I first like to give a little quick shout out to Jim. Jim, thank you for your efforts and with regards to traffic and all the town support. We do have a little bit of a traffic pattern, different, in a couple weeks, but I might give you some data on our great field of what time some of these pairings are going off, maybe help out a little bit. But Bill, as you know, I was going to kind of pull behind the curtains a little bit and show everybody that I was going to do this power hour down on site, and I felt it was in my best interest when the sirens went off, not to be in a bleacher on 18. So, no, it's an exciting time, and again, thank you and congratulate everybody for us being where we are today. It's been a lot of hard work, not just from myself and our team and the Heritage Classic Foundation, but this community. And it's truly exciting because of our efforts over the years that we've been awarded this signature event, 1 of 8 on the PGA Tour, just a step down from a major, and it's going to be an exciting few weeks. The thing about Mother Nature, yes, today was a big load-in day operationally with Coca-Cola and our copier companies, and in addition to our cooler companies and some other things. And, 2 things we have no control over is, as I've always said, Mother Nature and the media to a certain degree. And, we just don't want a great week of weather the week of the turn, which obviously we do, but certainly for the sake of the build out and the lead up, and then the week after too. So it's not like a football game where we want 3-4 hours of good weather. We actually want about three weeks, and things are looking good here next week for us and all. And we do have a big volunteer party tonight, a little appreciation kickoff party at Honeyhorn. So we'll have 1,500 plus of our wonderful supporters and volunteers that will be helping us out. But just, a couple things. And one of the things I was excited about showing you down on site today too is I continue to have these we moments. And when I say that, I'm very fortunate to be a part of something, but I'm very fortunate to be a part of something that we're all a part of. To be down on site and watching the bleacher companies and working with the greenery that's working with Palmetto Electric, that's working with Hargray. It's such a community event that we're so fortunate to be a part of. Certainly we as a tournament to be in this community, but it is such the landscaping, the house is being painted, all the support, the build, all I say from the Coca-Colas and working with Serge on a weekly basis on phone calls, working with concessions and all too. It's really something that we all should be very proud of, and I'm very fortunate to be a part of something as special. And, a couple of things, I happen to be the tournament director, so we have an incredible staff here, and to think of what our sales and marketing and ticket efforts team led by Derek Payton, our vice president of sales, working with our operations team and led by Morgan Hyde, our vice president of operations, has really created in looking at the process of selling the tournament and now in the process of executing it and fulfilling it. We have a build that it will be the largest build, the biggest build we ever had, but also for everyone to know, it's not necessarily more. And when I say that is, I look at going back to 2019, as I've shared with a lot of people before, that Saturday of 2019, we couldn't have gotten another person on that Saturday, and that wasn't necessarily a good thing. And then we went through obviously 20 COVID year, and then 21 is limited capacity. And when we talk of sellout capacity, it's really a number between 19 and 21. And what we've done and what the team has done in evaluating how we do things and how we do things better each and every year. But we have some additional bleachers that we've never had too, that we're wrapped around 1 this year on the tee box. We have bleachers on 2, 4, 5, and that are new bleachers, and in addition to 17. But we also have bleachers on almost every hole with the exception of 3 out there. And that's just to help out with the experience. We're not selling more tickets. We want the signature experience to be felt by everybody, and not just the players who are going to be here to perform and showcase this wonderful resort, this wonderful community, but for our general spectators, for obviously our partners, which are each and every one of you just about as well. And our sales marketing team and working with you all, your support is invaluable to us. And it's not just supporting us on site, but it's also all our guests a majority of our guests are flying in, driving in, staying at our hotels, staying at our villa and home rental, working through rental companies, eating at our restaurants, playing golf, shopping at our stores and all. So you all support us in other ways too. But the efforts of the Heritage Classic Foundation there is a risk involved in us doing this, but we're working with great partners, have an incredible sponsor in the likes of our RBC and a presenting sponsor in Boeing. And we're fully engaged and excited about things in the next couple weeks. Do know that we work extremely close. We have weekly calls since the fall with the resorts, let alone we deal with them on an everyday basis. Working extremely close with CSA in this community here, but also the town. The town has been wonderful partners. We work extremely close with the entire town in being able to execute and pull this event off for the best golfers in the world, but also to showcase this incredible event in this incredible community.
All right, Steve, lots of questions for you as well, and we'll go quickly. This one probably won't surprise you, but it's coming from Marty, and Marty is asking if there will be a flyover this year, and if so, when?
Well, it's tentative as it is every year, but the plan is it's tentative for Saturday at 4:00. And it's interesting that you asked that question, and just kind of behind the scenes a little bit with this. It used to always be at noon on Fridays, if you remember, up to actually a couple contracts ago with Boeing. But and the reason they flew on Friday is because it was not a part of the primetime telecast with CBS. But in their negotiation, they wanted to get into prime time, and RBC was kind enough to say, sure, let's do it. And so they fly at 4:00 on Saturday. That would be the scheduled time.
All right, Steve. Carolyn is asking, how will it be different this year with a cut?
Well, actually, there's great question again. It is a no cut this year, which is half of the signature events are no cuts, and a couple of the events are with cuts. Where we're a little different this year too is in years past, traditionally, prior to last year when we were a designated event, we were a limited field, 132 players. Which is a much smaller field than a majority of the PGA Tour events. Last year, because of our last minute kind of designation and working the field and some things with the tour, we had our largest field ever of 150 players. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot more when you talk about 132 to 150 players, but that's 18 more players, 18 more caddies, 18 more courtesy cars, 18 more families. So it did create some logistical things because of our venue space. Sea Pines brought in additional lockers. We had to do some other creative things, but this year we'll have a field of almost half that. It will be somewhere between 74, 76 players. And everybody that tees up on Thursday will also be teeing up on Sunday. So in case you have your favorite that you like to see, you'll certainly can see them for 4 consecutive days, and it might give them a chance if they would have normally missed the cut to play themselves back into contention.
All right, sir. Thank you. Andy is asking, why did we go to a closed clubhouse this year?
Well, there's a couple reasons for that, and one of it is the elevated status of the tournament. RBC and Boeing still have a presence in there, but it's players. It was a decision. It was kind of in the works the last few years, and working closely with Sea Pines. Sea Pines was our incredible partners, and we've had some mixed feelings a little bit about that, but there's several reasons. One is with regards to the competition, the players, the elevated status, and it's going to be a different field, but it's going to be one that the players, the PGA Tour, RBC, and certainly Boeing are going to appreciate.
Okay, next question is coming from Rick, and you may or may not have the answer to this, Steve. He's asking, is the Harbor Town Golf Links scheduled for a major renovation after this year's tournament? Again, I'm not sure if you've got the answer to that one.
Yeah, and I don't want. Yeah, I do have the answer. I don't want to speak on behalf of Sea Pines, even though we are one as one together. But it will not be this year. The plan is after the 25 tournament, and just like anything, plans have to. It takes time, and they're working very closely with us as well because of some infrastructure and all too. But in working with Sea Pines, it will be after the 20. The plans are after the 25 tournament.
All right. The next one is more of a statement. Congratulations on the electronic ticket system. I really like using that. And then the last part of that, has the public adapted to that?
Yes, and I appreciate that comment. We've had some big changes over the years, and one of them I look at with Mother Nature and how that had worked in our favor. Unfortunately, a few years back when we've lost all our parking lots, and working with the town and Beaufort County, we ended up moving our parking outside to Honeyhorn, and it's been a win-win-win for everybody, and inside, outside, and it's been very well received. But tickets too was it's certainly through COVID and all digital, but it's been extremely well received, and the team has done an incredible job of identifying areas that need to be tweaked and to be done better. The first year we did it, 90% of what we did was spot on, and we've learned from that, and you'll see some additional some resources out there too to help support in that effort. But it's been extremely well received, and I commend again the staff and really pulling the Band-Aid off and going all in with it. And this will be our third year, and we feel we're all in.
All right. Charles is asking, with no cut, what will the tee times be?
That's still yet to be determined, but it's basically what the feel and the vibe should be of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, comparable to what it's been in the past on Saturday and Sunday. And that's been anywhere from 8 to 9, because they always try to finish right about 5 minutes prior to 6 o'clock on Sunday for the sake of prime time and the CBS telecast. So we'll start. We are going to be going off. I mean, one thing is different with the smaller field too. We've traditionally have gone off front and back in threesomes Thursday and Friday, so it's been from sun up to sundown. But with the smaller field, we will be going off just the first tee, and that will be basically at 8 o'clock. That has not yet been determined by the PGA Tour. They're going to be looking at our field, because our field could expand if we have another winner this week. That adds another player. There are a few things that could happen. So, but around 8 o'clock. All
right. Sam is asking if there are any new venues on the course this year.
I look at the big thing that the team here is really taking a look at, is more than anything, is really some of the general spectating too. I mean, we certainly still have 1 and 9, and the Heritage Lawn has some venues, and you'll see some activations from some new partners as well as existing partners. But the bleachers are a big part of this new feel and the new vibe. To help with obviously spectator viewing, plus traffic flow and some other things, but that's really the biggest thing anyway.
Steve, the questions continue to come in, and we appreciate those questions. We only have time for 2 more, so if you're sending in questions, we appreciate it. Let's save it for the next Power Hour. This one is coming from Jimmy, and Jimmy is asking if he can attend the opening ceremonies without a ticket.
No, and unfortunately, it is ticketed, and but we do have Tuesday tickets that are available.
All right. Last question. Bob is asking how the Pro-Am is impacted by the limited field.
Well, what's interesting with, as people know, in the years past, we've had 52 foursomes plus the 52 groups with professionals, and they played the last few years 9 and 9, so 9 holes in the front, 9 holes in the back, so that's 104 players. But with us having a smaller field, we actually only have 33 teams that are going to be playing with professionals, and that's 26 in the morning, which 9 and 9, and then we'll have 7 professional groups in the afternoon. We do have, which the tours allowed us to help continue with some financial support or revenue support to the foundation, is we do have some groups going off behind the professional groups on Wednesday, amateur groups, but these are amateurs that wanted to support the tournament, will be playing. So that is definitely will be a little bit of a different vibe on Wednesday, but everybody's going to be playing, and the best of the best will be out there.
Well, Steve, speaking of the best, you and your team are the best of the best, and thanks for being with us this morning and sharing the information. I know that you've got a lot to do today.
Well, Bill, thank you, and thank you, community. I look at Bluffton and coming into the island on 278 as being our driveway, and Sea Pines coming to our front. That's kind of our front door, and then coming down on site. There's a lot of things that need to happen before you even get to the tournament. You all are a big part of the success of this event with our sponsors, our partners, and our spectators. And again, this is our event, and looking forward to us enjoying it and celebrating the signature event, the signature week in 11 days, actually, Bill.
Here we go. All right. Well, we look forward to it, Steve. Thanks again for being with us, and have a great rest of your day and night.
No, thank you. You bet. Appreciate you.
All right. Well, we've had some terrific guests today that I think have just shared some tremendous information. And with that, we appreciate you tuning in. Continue to send in topics that you'd like to hear about, and we'll continue to get great people to discuss those topics. One last note on the closing is that our Leadership Hilton Head Bluffton class is taking applications for 2025. I would encourage you, if you have any interest at all, whether you're new in business, whether you're retired and middle of your career, that's what makes our classes great, have well-rounded individuals that are in there. And go to our chamber website. You'll see a link for the application. We may also post it here online, and take a look at it. It's something I think you would enjoy. Thanks again for being with us. We'll see you at the RBC Heritage and at the Plaid Party. Don't forget the Plaid Party at the Country Club of Hilton Head tomorrow at 5:30. We'll get our plaid on. See you then.